flowers.
A field of ass flowers.
A field of
That one flower that
flowers?
smells like a fart. You smell like that one.
The one out of the 2 billion flowers that you raised, one smells like shit. This one's you.
Yeah.
Would now be a good time to say that I'm live?
Ryan
Yeah.
smells like a fart. Flower.
You know, I'm gonna post this one on Instagram. You know?
I smell sexy. My dad said that.
Your dad called you sexy?
Yeah. What?
No, my dad said. Okay, hold on. We're live. Fuck.
Hey, incest is next.
Camera light off.
Ryan, if you're on screen, it'll always look amazing.
Ryan, what the fuck?
What?
What the fuck? Everyone, can
What?
everyone see this? Hold on. It's so badass when people stand in front of what they destroyed. And you got Kathleen Kennedy here standing in front of Star Wars. Damn
Thank you.
fucking right. God.
There's rumors she's gonna make the sequel trilogy non-canon.
Well, there's a very not rumor that she's stepping down in Q2 of next year. So there's that too.
Yeah, we found that out yesterday.
And hopefully Dave Filoni is going to step in and fix this shit. Anyway, should we get the real show started now? Are you guys ready?
They should just put Ryan Reynolds in charge of everything.
Yeah, you know, they should put Kevin Feige in charge of everything. You know, there was a rumor that Kevin Feige was going to take over Star Wars also, but then it's...
They should make Peter Dinklage in charge of Star Wars for one movie, just see what he does.
Probably not a great job.
Has
I'd still
Peter
want to-
Dinklage directed before?
I think he did Cyrano, but I'm not sure.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
after
ready.
I've solved this mystery about Peter Dinklage.
What mystery about Peter Dinklage? He is actually a
directed
short
movie.
person. Don't worry. It's not special effects.
No, dog.
Are you sure? He was pretty tall in Infinity War.
That was his actual height. They didn't even have to green screen that bit. He was just genuinely that big.
That's kind of funny.
That's why he got offended when he saw the
Oh,
dwarves
true.
in the Snow White trailer.
He's actually 4'5", which is I thought this might.
That's pretty.
I'm gonna get
That's
canceled
pretty
for
tall
this.
for a dwarf.
Yeah, that's a good size. I thought he was closer to like
Wow.
somewhere in the 3'9" range. I don't know why I thought that, but
He's a tall dwarf.
yeah, he's a good size.
Anyways, are we ready? Are we ready? I need confirmation from both of you.
I'm ready.
No, I'm still finding this out.
Okay.
We have more important matters to discuss here
There's
today.
nothing more important than finding out if Peter Dinklage directs movies.
He has. I think he's directed a couple. He was in like a short film with him acting.
He's
it,
in
and
every
he
movie
did
he's in is a short film.
God damn it, Ryan. That's kind of good.
it. Okay. All right.
And that's on getting canceled.
All right. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're starting the show. He still didn't even look up.
Yeah, I need to know. It doesn't look like he has.
Okay.
A very simple IMDb page would tell you all that information.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at now.
We're technically on an IMDb page.
Are we?
Yeah, remember we helped out with that short film?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I don't
Yeah.
think we got that credit though. Did we get that
You
credit?
can tell Taylor's cool because he's wearing sunglasses.
Well, there's a fucking reason for it. If you would let me start the show, you'd know why I'm wearing the sunglasses.
Yeah, why are you wearing the sunglasses? What the fuck? are
Okay,
you
great.
doing?
So I can get into this. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Joe was
Welcome to the
so
Slowing
fun,
Show, the only show where we show our true intentions in our eyes. Anyways, that was it. That was the only reason why I did that. Yeah.
Okay. I
Wow.
liked it. That was good.
Anyways, how you guys doing? Any updates on your lives? Like always? Come on. Give me something juicy today.
I've been eating a lot of homemade whole wheat bread, and if you don't drink a lot of water with it, you will shit your brains out.
Why? It's just wheat.
It's a lot of fiber.
Oh.
It's a lot.
I
'Cause
thought
it's like-
fiber. I thought fiber makes you constipated. I thought too much fiber makes your poop hard.
Isn't fiber supposed to be really
yes, when you
fast?
drink a lot of water with it.
Oh,
It's been causing interesting digestive things to happen
Yeah,
in vast quantities.
okay. Is that it? Is that the most interesting thing that's happened to you?
That's the most interesting thing I want to talk about.
Fair enough.
Oh, I've started playing I'm a big FromSoft fan, as Taylor knows, because I don't shut up about it.
Yeah.
I started playing Bloodborne yesterday for the first time, and that game makes me hard. It is my favorite game so far.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
If this was distractible, I'd give you a point for video games making you hard.
I
Thank
would
you.
love to find a game. The last game that made me really hard playing it was Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, no,
Do you have
Helldivers
a-
2 originally.
Do you have a PlayStation?
I do not. I don't have an Xbox anymore.
All right.
Do you
All right.
enjoy Dark Souls?
Huh?
Do you enjoy Dark Souls?
No, I have never played Dark Souls and I don't want to.
Oh, repent, sinner.
Ah.
Because I don't have the patience to play Dark Souls. I've seen people
That's
rage and I don't have the patience to
Yeah,
withhold my
You've seen him
rage.
play Chained Together. He can't handle that shit.
That's like a quarter of how angry I could get. I don't want to do that.
Anyways, Ryan, how you doing? Any new
I'm doing
updates in
great.
your life?
How's your car?
No, it's great. We went to Spokane yesterday, took a day trip there, got my
Oh, did you go in the car?
and it held up really well. It almost didn't start when we were on top of Spokane Mountain. It was great.
I wouldn't say that. It was fine.
I turned the key and it went and then it started.
It just needed a minute. It had to lug itself up that whole mountain.
Lucille needed a little bit of a break,
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, well,
but
How
I
are you? How was your week?
was gonna say I am on a very hardcore Sonic kick right now. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
Not the fast food restaurant, as I'm sure Hiram was thinking.
What's that supposed to mean?
is he like Sonic?
Yeah, I saw the trailer for Sonic 3 and it made me really hyped. So I went and got the Sonic 3 action figures that they're selling in stores right now. And I got Sonic and I wanted Shadow, but Shadow was like the hardest one to find. And when I went to Seattle this weekend, and there I went to 6 different Walmarts to find this figure, and finally at the last Walmart
In
before
Seattle?
Yeah. Before I was gonna call it quits, I found it. One last one. It was hiding. Someone tried to hide it, I think. I was very proud of that moment. That was quite a victory for me. But yeah, I went to Seattle this weekend. Had a good time. Visited my girlfriend's family. And yeah, that's about the most eventful thing I did this weekend.
That's the most eventful thing you did this weekend?
Well, yeah, you said we said we went to Spokane. I went with you.
Yeah, was it the most eventful thing you did this weekend?
No.
No?
No, the most eventful thing I did this weekend was I went to the Crab Pot in Seattle, and I got a salmon BLT, and it was delicious.
That sounds really good.
It was super good.
That's not good.
Okay.
I miss living in Washington because they would get like fresh fish every day. If you go to just about any seafood place, and
Yeah.
in Utah, it's all landlocked. And you could tell
Yeah.
the food's been frozen at some point, and it's nasty and horrible.
Yeah,
Save me.
you're not close enough to a coastline.
Yeah.
How far is Utah from the coastline? Isn't it like 200 miles, 300 miles? No,
10 hours. I don't know that in miles.
I don't know
We're
Scourge.
American, we
Scourge the
distance in
Hedgehog.
mind.
200?
Knowing
Scourge the Hedgehog?
that sound, if that's not a meme, I'm gonna be.
Are you talking about the hedgehog scourge of Europe in 1953?
Is that what it is?
No, I made that up.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. Anyways,
So-
someone start the show. Someone start the actual topic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the actual Schlink show. Taylor has a topic today that he's going to tell us once I'm done stalling at some point. But before he does, I would like to talk about something very near and dear to my soul, which is hedgehogs. And in this case, is not Sonic the Hedgehog. It is not.
It is an evil
fucking
version of
sounds
Sonic
dumb.
the Hedgehog.
I'm talking, woman.
I found
It
the
is
answer.
cool. Actual hedgehogs are. They roll into little balls. And they got spikes on them. And they're pretty fun. I used to have one, and I named him Kyle.
This isn't like a Bowsette thing, is it? Is this
died.
a genuine? It's a
My
genuine
hedgehog
version.
died.
It is 518 miles from the nearest body of water.
We're all having three
From
different
Utah-
conversations.
From Utah, from the border of Utah, not counting
Oh
Salt Lake
my
City, from the
gosh.
border of Utah to the edge of California, just north of Santa Rosa, 518.35 miles.
We were
Do
on
you mean
Scourge
like a
the
coastline?
Hedgehog.
That's cool.
Ryan, do you mean a coastline specifically?
Coastline, yeah, sorry.
Okay, because I'm like, no, because we got Lake Powell, Lake Tahoe, Salt Lake, Utah Lake.
Yeah, but do they have fish in them? Wait, don't answer the question.
Oh, they're lakes.
There's a good chance there's probably some
Lake
fish.
aren't real fish. Prove me wrong.
They're not real fish because they got dropped from a plane.
In order to see if it's real fish or not, what we're going to do is we know fish live in water. Therefore, we're going to test freshwater versus salt water. We're going to hold Ryan underneath both of them and see which one it takes longer to pass out in. And that's the real one.
Fair enough. I like that plan.
Any questions?
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
So
Salt water, you drown easier in salt water, I think.
no,
You float
you
in
float.
salt water.
in salt water.
You got that backwards. So it's easier to float in salt water.
You it's easier to drown in fresh water.
Fresh water. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Not as easy as to drown in pussy.
Okay, so the
Alright,
show
let's move on.
the topic
Taylor,
of
just
today
move on.
again.
Okay. So, first and foremost, I need to give credit to a YouTube channel called Artificially Aware. I watched a video titled The Lucifer Effect. And, it really got me thinking. And I really liked the message, and I thought that it would be an interesting thing to discuss. So today we're probably going to get a little philosophical. It's going to be a little bit, I don't know where it's going to go. Who knows? But it made me curious about what people think where's the line between what is right and wrong, or what is good and evil. Because watching the video, it kind of made me realize that everyone's version of that is different, depending on who you are. Everyone's definition of evil can change under one circumstance, or vice versa. One person can be good over doing something not good, but for the right reasons. Who knows what it would be? So I think it would be a good place to talk about. But before we get in a lot deeper into this, I guess I just ask you guys just straight up, just to carry the conversation. What is your guys' definition of evil, and what is your guys' definition of good?
Ryan, you're up.
Fuck. I'd say my definition, I distinguish evil from good on the intentions behind the actions. So if your intentions are purposely to inflict harm, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual, or whatever, that's an evil thing to do. But if you do something with the good intention that causes harm, it's kind of like a collateral damage. You didn't mean for it to happen. But in the same case, you could say the same thing about Thanos, to where he was doing it for a good reason, but he was also wiping out half the universe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gray line that's very hard to balance. So good intentions can also be bad, but doing bad intentions can also be good.
It kind of makes you think of the villain mentality, where it's like everything they think they're doing is good, but they're causing a lot of damage to go after that good deed.
It's like they're looking at the one thing, that what I'm doing prevents this one thing, without taking any accountability or realizing the effects that what the one thing that they're doing can have catastrophic effects on everything else around them.
Okay. Hiram?
Good and evil is entirely circumstantial. Because there's cases where something could be absolutely abhorrent, but then you move it into a different context and the exact same action is perfectly justified.
Mm-hmm.
There's a comment that just happened that says the line between good and evil has gotten so blurred. It's never been blurred. Isn't there isn't a line between good and evil. The only line there's a line in time in the context of your life. That's what creates good and evil, and it needs to be done entirely in context and perspective, and you make your decision based off that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, a part of the discussion I hope leads to today is the blurred line between good and evil. And so the video I watched, and you guys watched it too, there's a couple experiments. So he touches upon a few things. So he touches upon experiments that were done to quite literally test this on people, on where that line is. And he even brought up examples of just day-to-day people and what we could do in our own lives to be good, be better, figure out what the evil is and what the good is. So I wanted to talk about one of the experiments, which was called, I had it written down, and I wish I would have just kept Discord up.
The Magdal Milgram experiment.
No. I was going to talk about the prison one.
Oh, the Stanford prison experiment. The
Stanford prison experiment. For those of you guys who may not know what that is, the Stanford prison experiment is basically where there's prisoners and there is a guard. And they did one version of the experiment where the guard needs to make sure that all of the prisoners are in line. And these are all randomly picked people. They're not like real
From
prisoners.
College.
Yeah.
It's 12 or between 12 and 16 students that were brought in for an experiment, and they're all middle class, well educated, what you could say morally ethical at that point, and they're split them up.
They're a
in
good
groups.
baseline. They're baseline across the board. Not one's more than the other.
Split them up in a group, became prisoners, and they didn't have names. They only had numbers, and they gave them orange jumpsuits. The other half were the wardens or the guards, and they were given officer uniforms, polarized sunglasses so you couldn't see their eyes, and batons.
Yeah, and so basically when the test started, things were pretty normal and fine. But then all of a sudden, the guards started becoming more and more abusive to the people. And they were all under the knowledge that this was all supposed to be a fake, basically. Everyone knows what it was. But for some reason, the guys with the sunglasses on playing the guards started getting more and more violent, more and more abusive to these people. And what that kind of showed us was personal accountability plays a huge factor into being a good person or making good decisions. So basically, because they had the sunglasses on, and a lot of these people, couldn't really see into the eyes of the person, and they didn't know them personally, the guards felt that they could start abusing them more and more.
They lost the I don't know what it's called, but that physical and psychological effect that when you look into someone's eyes, you see another human being, you see someone with ethics. With the sunglasses on, it kind of acts as a shield and blocks that. So you're not seeing with your own eyes, you're seeing through a shade. And it acted as they didn't feel the remorse of what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
to answer your statement is, that is exactly how people act on the internet. It's the same exact effect that kind of goes into place. They can just say whatever they want on the internet, and because there's no personal accountability, they're not going to go track down the person to their house. People feel that they can just say whatever they want on the internet, So that is a good example of, I guess, circumstances as to what Hiram was saying. And so what do you guys feel about that experiment? Speaking solely about the Stanford prison experiment.
If people get too much authority too quickly, they don't have any responsibility to go with it. 9 times out of 10, they'll go bad.
That's That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is it's when you take responsibility away from an individual and you just give it to someone who is either a higher power or they just don't have to be responsible for anything that they do. People lose that respect that they normally would give to someone else because they are technically not attached to what is happening anymore. They're basically what's it called um, a body that's not being controlled. Or that was really bad. I had a better analogy for it and I lost it, but you get what I'm saying.
They're detached. They become a
wi-
third party of the
de-
situation.
Detached. Thank you. Yes, they're detached from the person that they once were. They don't
Mhm.
have the responsibility that is held over them. Like when you have a job and you fuck up something at a job, you have responsibility, and when you fuck it up, you know it's on your head. You don't want to be called out, or you don't want to fail. But the second you say, hey, whatever happens today, it's the manager's fault, the people that are below the manager aren't going to take it as serious and they're just kind of going to go about it, meandering around about it and not take it as seriously, causing them to fuck up more and not be as concentrated on what they're doing.
You know,
Or
it's making me think. It's making me think. I'm curious to see what you guys would think about this. So let's say we had the purge, right? Let's say we had the purge tomorrow. And you knew everything you did was going to be legal. Do you think that your morals and ethics would help deter you, or do you think that, by the way, this isn't me trying to get you guys to admit to some shit. I'm just curious to see where your mind goes. Or do you think you'd participate and go out and do some fucked up shit because you know you can get away with it?
I think I think it's pretty normal to, if you knew you couldn't be held responsible for something and that you would not get in trouble, it's pretty normal to have thoughts of, well, I can just go do this and nothing will happen. It's not going to affect me. It's not going to change what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're asking us personally, what would we do if the purge happened and we knew anything we did was legal? I can't even litter on the side of the street without feeling bad. So I don't know how I would feel about going around burning places to the ground or actively trying to find someone to kill. But
I'm taking a tag off a mattress.
the worst, I will admit, the worst thing that I would probably
That
do
was an
is
episode callback.
steal.
If you guys don't know about it, you should go check it out. Anyways, go on.
The worst thing I would maybe do is steal something. And it would be something that I would use and not just sell. It's like I need a new
Yeah.
bed. So I'd probably go and use the purge as an excuse to go steal a new bed. So I would have a new bed so I
Just
can
go-
sleep comfortably at night.
Go get all the shit
But
you
I
need.
wouldn't go out and steal a brand new TV. I don't need a new TV or a new
Mhm.
monitor or a new PC.
Okay.
But
Okay. Hiram.
Okay. So this is gonna be in 3 parts on what I would do, because it's actually a thought I had before,
Oh god.
and it's kind of, if you're gonna ask the zombie apocalypse question, it's kind of the same answer.
Okay.
I like to believe that I would hunt the violent participators. I would
Okay.
get a kick out of that.
Yeah. Become like a purge bounty hunter.
Yeah, it'd basically be like, I will have my little area, like a few city blocks maybe, and if anyone comes in with ill intent, I'm shooting them in the face.
You know.
so
Um,
you would be like the sheriff of between the city block of 4th Street and 8th Street. Like
Yeah.
that little area is your domain and you're protecting
Yeah.
anyone who's in that area.
And
Dude,
then
that would
I
totally
wanna
be his
kicked out of-
purge name too. He would totally call himself the sheriff. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would actually go with like something Marvel comicsy, like the Punisher. I think
The
is what I would
Punisher?
go to. Yeah,
I'm sure a
kinda same
lot
idea.
of people would do that. They'd all.
yeah. A
do
lot
that.
of people would say Punisher. I might just call myself Kermit the Frog.
So you before you said the whole sheriff thing, you said you would hunt down people,
Yeah.
right? And like people who did bad things.
And I
So
would not like
the
to.
purge happened.
I was gonna just say I'm both impressed and scared that you had that really well thought out. Okay, good.
I told you I thought about this before, but at the same time, I am 100% stealing a Kit Kat because I love Kit Kat, and I'm gonna do my best to try to snag a nice sports car.
Okay.
just because I'm in the
Okay.
neighborhood.
So if you were a person that you would go after evil people during the purge, right? So in between the purge is only 12 hours once a year.
Hmm.
So all throughout the year, you're just gathering information and about people like this person did this person did that.
Yeah,
People
I
are
would gather
coming.
information from the previous purge, and those would be my targets.
The people would come up to you and be like, yeah, this guy, we were a family in a room or in an apartment complex, and this guy came out and killed everybody in the floor that
Yeah.
I lived on, and we were all barricaded in our home because we didn't want to participate. Well, that then turns into you have to ask the question is, you would potentially then become a hitman, and how would you personally know, and in your own morals, how would you know that that person is actually evil? Because if you got told that this person came up to the apartment, the fifth floor of the apartment, and killed everyone on that floor except for this family because the purge had just stopped, right? They left. The alarm went off and they disappeared. How do you not know that those people did something the previous purged that affected that person to go into that floor and kill everybody on that floor? Because you could also look at it as, well, this person was getting vengeance because the people on this floor ended up killing his family. They were part of a group in the last purge that went and killed people in his family that were at a village that were hiding out because they didn't want to participate. But because this person lost his family, he then took it upon himself to get revenge on the next purge of his family. So is that
Hmm.
person actually evil? Are the people that are on that floor actually good people, or are they evil as well? It's when you start getting information from people, people are very unreliable, especially when it comes to when it self benefits them. So that's a hard.
The the 2 points that you could make that I would personally do is you have a year to collect as much information as possible on a particular target, and you need to be very thorough because you only have 12 hours. If you're hunting people over a whole city, you're maybe going to get one person every 2 hours, give or take. Depends
Yeah.
on how broad your range is. Secondly, no one can know it's you doing it because then there's no benefit to them telling you.
I think it makes me think about the Punisher and Daredevil conflicts that they kind of have. So for those of you guys who don't know, Daredevil is a very religious Catholic, and he's very against killing. A lot of superheroes are, but I'd argue with Daredevil that is literally who he is. He struggles with that all the time. And the Punisher is the very opposite of that. He doesn't give a fuck. If you're bad, you're dead. He's just gonna kill you, and that's it. Because his thinking is that if I shoot them and they go down, they're never getting back up. But when Daredevil puts them away in prison,
Mm-hmm.
they can come out eventually. And I guess it's kind of like Batman Joker too. It's a
Yeah.
superhero trope. Everyone knows about it. But
Um,
the reason why I bring up Punisher and Daredevil specifically is because in season 2 of the show, they really dive into that concept a lot. They actually bring up really good points between the both of them. And Daredevil basically says, yes, you're right. They will get out eventually, and they could definitely do it again. But for every 5 guys I put away, 2 of them get their life together and become a part of society, right? And then the Punisher is saying, well, when I put them down, they never hurt anybody again. So I think that it's kind of tipping onto the same sort of mentality here, where it's like, um,
yeah,
is it
that's
wrong to kill every single bad person you see, or
you'd have to do that's you need a bit of both because any I like going to Uncle Iroh's philosophy from The Last Airbender is where if you take information and wisdom from only one source, it becomes rigid and stale, right? And so it's kind of you need to understand which people it's absolutely necessary to put down and who it's not necessary to put
Mhm.
down.
yeah,
And
Well, then,
also, the Punisher's right about the math, but he also has no ethics whatsoever when it comes to lives of others.
no code?
that,
I'd say is
that
the
Yeah.
also
word.
begs the question: is how do you know? even with research, how do you know for a fact that these people deserve to die or these people deserve to be taken out?
There's a point where it's like definitive yes or no. I think regardless of um Risu 29, you'd be one of the people doing bad things in the purge, 100%. Anyway, moving on. You take your best guess, you go with your gut. Do the best you can with it. If that's, let's say, like what I say I would do in the purge, if that's what I want to take upon myself, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, because freedom equals responsibility and accountability in every aspect. So the shorter answer is you don't, and you're going to make mistakes and fuck it up constantly. But you're
So
trying.
before we started the show today, Hiram, you mentioned that you read something that kind of applied to what we're talking about. I was wondering if you wanted to go into that.
Yeah. Well, I watched a synopsis on it. I read it in high school, but it's been a long time. It's a book by a Russian philosopher called Dostoevsky, and he wrote a book called Crime and Punishment, which is really popular in the US. A very long book, too. And what it's about this man who wants to appear great, but because of his station in life, becoming great in the military or as a politician just isn't an option for him. How he decides to achieve greatness is he needs to do something people will fear and respect. Machiavellian principle is it's better to be feared than loved, because then they'll be more obedient. And so what he does is he goes to this woman who's a pawnbroker, and he kills her. And he covers it up, hides all the evidence he can, and then tries to move on with his life. And the rest of the book is about him trying to justify it to himself and those around him who know, which include his sister, his girlfriend, but it might be his wife, and a couple other people. And what it turns into is a deep exploration of guilt in this man, because he's a really normal dude. He just had a very misguided idea about what it meant to be great, and it made him make a horrible choice. And he ends up going to jail, and that's the whole book. That's like 2,000 pages summarized. But what's interesting about it is he starts looking for good reasons to kill this woman who is just trying to run a pawn shop. And he's like, well, with all the money I'm going to steal from her after I kill her, I'm going to donate so much to charity. And he comes up with all this stuff. And I think what really happened is he planned something, he saw opportunity, and he did it. Not for any good reason, but because he wanted to. Yeah, that's the sum up.
So what's the moral of the story to you? So like what message is that giving?
It's
Like,
not really a moral. It's supposed to make you think. One, don't kill people. That's bad. Looking at you, freaking Risu 29.
Coming from the guy that call himself the fucking sheriff.
but no, he said he'd call himself the Punisher, actually.
Oh. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog. And I'm going to be running around in a ghillie suit and a hatchet. It's going to be great.
Oh, man.
I'm going to beat people with a banjo.
Hide in the one
so
tree.
Yeah.
Hide in the one tree in the park of Manhattan.
Yes. And then just drop out with a banjo and bash him. Like, it's a Muppet Show, yay! Smack.
Yes, because there's only
That's
one tree in
constant,
Manhattan.
I'm sure there's more. Central
No,
Park,
there
maybe.
is.
At least
Central
two.
Park has like 200 different trees or 200 trees.
Yeah.
Probably more than that. It's huge.
No, so killing without reason is always bad, whether it's people or animals. Don't do it. But then, like I said, good and evil depends entirely on context. So if we're doing our purge analogy, or actually I'll simplify it. If I need to eat and I have a chicken in my backyard, I'm going to eat the chicken.
Yeah.
Right? In that context, there's a utility to killing the chicken.
Yeah.
However, if I decide I'm just in a bad mood and I go shoot the chicken and leave it there, You're killing the chicken both times. What makes the difference? What makes one ethical or not ethical?
But I wouldn't say. What was the word you used? The difference between good and evil is circumstantial. That's what you said. I wouldn't.
Contextual.
To me, what you described, like, that isn't out of context. One is morally okay, and one is definitely morally not. No matter what context you may put it in. It's like, if you...
Because of the context.
But...
Because both people, if you take it out of context, they both killed a chicken.
Yeah,
One person happened to eat it. That is
but
the
to
context.
bring
It was killed for eating.
But to bring it to what Ryan said earlier, it's about intent. The intent, too.
Intent is part of context.
I guess when you say context, in my mind, it's like you can explain it two different ways, and then that'll change it. But I'm talking about specifically about the act that you did. Even if no one else knows, you know. You know? And I think that that's where, like, that is the definitive... One is right and one is very wrong. And the context that other people may perceive, yeah. But that doesn't take away from that there is a clear, real right and a wrong. You know?
So are you saying that there is a absolute truth over morality?
Yeah. I think.
I can respect that.
I think that... I think that there's a lot more variables that can play into that. But I still think that there is a definitive one is okay and one is wrong. But where the variables might get wishy-washy and change will come down to people's background, religion, and all this stuff. But I think that that is a broader way of the situation. But when you... It comes down to not everyone's going to have that entire answer. But someone out there would. And it's like, when you boil it down to the actual circumstance that you are a part of, that's where it's like, yeah, there is a clear right and there is a clear wrong. But I think, as opposed to, like what you said, the context of what other people may perceive, that's where it gets kind of wishy-washy, and then that's where the line starts to blur. And then it's like, I don't know. Then it starts getting...
They call it the thin gray line for a reason.
Yeah. There's a level.
Yo, when I piss on it.
So Ali said, I kind of want to touch upon this. That is a good point. So she said, I don't think any of you are considering the weight of taking away a life, especially not thinking about how addictive that control over someone can be. And that is definitely where you get serial killers and people who crave power. But I also think that craving power I think craving power can be evil if you're willing to obtain power to have control over others. Now, if you're trying to get a certain amount of power for yourself in your personal life so you can be in a better position, right? That's one thing. But if it's to purposefully be like, I need to control everybody in the whole situation, I think that might be a not great thing, not great mentality to be in. That's an interesting point, though. You know, a lot of people don't look at it like that. What do you guys think?
I have thoughts on this, but none of which I want to put on the internet. So I'm going to pass.
Fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. Ryan, what do you think?
I think a lot of people can draw power from anything. Killing, because it's weird when you said taking a life. No one's thinking about what was it exactly that she said?
She said, I don't think any of you are considering the weight of taking away a life, especially not thinking about how addictive that control over someone can be.
Okay, active over controlling of someone. It's interesting because there are people who there's a lot of different scenarios that some people can kill. There's someone who can kill someone out of revenge, there's someone who can kill someone just out of spite, and there's some people who can kill someone out of what?
I'm not laughing at you. There was a
No,
comment.
no.
I thought it was funny.
Nah, he's prepping for his first
Because you keep looking down. I guarantee every time someone makes a comment, you're like, okay, and he's going on the list.
Yeah, no, I'm actually. You caught me. I have been writing down names on my freaking phone this whole time.
You should have gotten a little
Oh yeah, and he's got a tab.
text.
He's
Death
got
Note
a
or
tab with
Deathpad.
IP addresses on the side, looking at people's houses.
Addresses, IP addresses, blood types, social security numbers.
The sheriff
Dude,
is
if you
coming.
can kiss someone's
Mattress
blood
your
type-
parents conceived you on. Okay, moving on.
Anyways, Ryan, you made good points.
I don't think I did, and thanks to you guys, I lost it. So
It's okay.
Moving on.
That comment threw me
Oh,
off so
man.
bad I forgot everything you said.
oh, that's good to
That's
know.
pretty
That's
funny.
great to hear.
Okay.
Ryan.
I think I'm
Oh,
curious.
God.
Do you guys which
Frankly, I don't even know where I was going with it, to be honest.
which king do you think is better? A king that rules with compassion, kindness, but also has a firm hand when needed, or a king that rules with fear, violence, and anger, but still respects his people? Which one of those is more favorable to you, and why?
I think it's pretty obvious that having a compassion king is probably more favorable for a lot of people, especially when they can be stern or firm when they need to be firm. Um, but with that also comes it's easy for them to be manipulated because they are willing to hear people out. They're willing to understand people, willing to help, and there are evil apples that surround the trees. So that I'm gonna say the compassion, but you would just have to be very careful with who's able to be around the king for a long period of time, because a lot of times it's not so much the king that's corrupt, but the people that are right the king that are corrupt, because they in a sense have more power because they are not held responsible for what happens. The king is held responsible for what happens, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. If your manager is responsible for what's going to happen in the day during a shift, you're not going to care so much because you're not going to be the one that's your ass is not going to be in trouble if shit hits the fan. It's going to be your manager's fault.
Okay.
But with a king that rules with fear, no one's going to want to touch him, or no one's going to want to try to overthrow, or not try to overthrow him. No one's going to want to even attempt to try and what's the word I'm looking for? Communicate with them. Try to solve fuck with. Yeah, that's the easy amount. But that also comes to the people who are living underneath the king are going to want to overthrow. And at some point that fear is no longer going to work, because if you have been feared your entire life, or you have feared someone your entire life, there's going to be a point that you fear nothing anymore, and death is a very accepting thing, so you don't care what happens.
Yeah, like when we got Hitler.
Yeah. That's actually a very good
different.
I'm kidding.
That's actually like the whole Nazi
he was
thing
kind of a king for a minute.
is a great philosophical question too.
It is.
Because the swastika wasn't exactly evil until the Nazis came.
Well, you actually bring up a really good point. We'll touch on that. But I'm curious. I want to see what Hiram chooses in the king situation.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna think this is a cop-out, but these are my genuine feelings and how I feel about the government in general. I don't care who the king is. Leave me alone. That is my opinion on the king. The king can go fuck himself.
That is not
But, however,
always
with
up
that-
to you.
With that,
too.
yes, it depends on where you live, where you're at, where you're born into,
Yeah.
all the shit. If I had to pick one, I'm picking the king who's compassionate because it'll be easier to convince him to fuck off.
He's going to respect your wishes of
Yeah,
leave me
like, if
alone.
I'm
It's like if you're not causing any issues, if you're not trying to do anything that's illegal or messing up with other people, then I'll leave you alone because that's what you would like, and if that's what keeps you happy, then cool. We're in agreement.
Okay. Hiram, you're putting yourself on a list, man. This
yeah,
episode is exposing you
libertarian.
so hard.
No, I don't think the government should be around. I think any people with ill intent towards me and mine can eat shit. That's the extent of it. And politicians and bureaucrats are poopy stinky, and they can go suck a poopy stinky.
Yeah.
Regardless of political affiliation.
Okay.
Any questions?
Hold on. I want to read this in the chat real quick. Compassion equals seeing good in my eyes. There may be someone who committed a crime, but they would look at the why as to what caused them to do their crime and stop what they're doing at the source.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the prison and rehabilitation system in the U.S. and take like Switzerland, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a "Don't Tread on Me" flags because that was created by the government.
Okay, next question. Can we move on?
So when you brought that up, the Nazis Hitler thing, do you think that the people who do wrong but are following orders or their lives are being threatened, do you think that those people are bad people because they're committing horrible acts but they actually don't want to commit but they're being forced to commit?
If your life is being threatened,
Okay.
I think it's...
Let me put it in different context. If you died and you saw what they did, would you be like, I forgive them? Or would you be like, damn, that bitch just took me out like a bitch for no reason?
Like, I
But there
died
could be a
and
reason you
I ascended into heaven, and I looked down and saw the whole scope of what was going on. Like, this person isn't in control. This person did it because of A, B, and C, because so-and-so is higher up than them, and if they didn't do it, they themselves would die. At the end of the day, the person who was killed is still going to die. It just might not have been that person that just did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard, but yes, because if you died and you could look back and see a person's like if it popped sound really stupid, but if it popped up like cheat codes or a coding in a game and you could see like their morals, their moral stats and everything and where they're at, then yes, because if they weren't under that circumstance, if they weren't in that situation, if they weren't forced that hand, they would do it.
Yeah.
Because if someone says, if you don't do this, we're going to kill your entire family. If someone says, if you don't do this, we're going to kill you, they'll most likely say, you can just kill me. I don't want to do it. But if you say, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill your family, your daughter, your son, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, your grandma, everything, you're going to do it because now that responsibility of their lives is in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And you get in a predicament to where they're not even a part of the situation of what's going on. They might not even know what the fuck is going on, but yet now all of a sudden their life is at risk, and it's because of your own either your own struggle or your own mistakes, or just because of the situation you're in. It's people can get anyone, no matter how morally good you are, how righteous, religious you are, anyone can get pushed to a position to where they can kill someone. You just have to press the right combination of buttons. It's the fact of, would they do it if these things were not how they were, or if these...
I don't remember who said it, but some really smart dude basically was like looking at serial killers or something, and basically said every single person on this planet is just one bad day away from becoming them. And I just, when you saying that kind of made me think about that. It's like, literally,
I mean,
everybody on this planet is capable of doing what these people do, but there's just something in us that it's like a barrier, whatever that may be. I personally believe it's something deep inside of us that you're supposed to be born with, but I think some people's barrier doesn't come in right, I think, or it gets deteriorated over time by life experiences, bad life experiences, and they lose control of themselves. But I think it's a deeper spiritual thing, but yeah.
It also begs the question of, if you look at a person, because people can be raised to be evil, and there are people out there who are inherently born evil. They could be born in a perfect family, not wealth, but have enough money to live. Weren't given everything, but were given a lot. We're shown love, but not love everywhere. They've gone through
Professor
issues in
Umbridge.
their lives. What?
Like Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter. She had a good upbringing, just still turned out to be an evil bitch.
You're right. I hate that bitch.
Professor
Everyone does.
Umbridge.
She's the one who
Yeah.
wears the pink.
Oh
And
yeah.
She's like she like
Yep.
carves. What did she carve
Yep.
into his? I will not
I know
tell
you
lies or whatever the fuck.
I must not tell lies.
I must
And
not
yeah,
know
like
that.
Jeffrey Dahmer for sure. He was just
Or
born
Ted Bundy.
crazy.
Ted Bundy was obviously an evil man, but how he was raised, he was severely abused by his mother.
Yeah.
Which then created, because of all those psychological issues, created a monster to where he had issues towards women.
Yeah.
So it's, monsters can be created and monsters can be born.
Agreed.
Like I don't think Hitler, this is going to be a really hot take and I really hope I don't get canceled for this, but I don't think Hitler was born a monster. I think it was all the issues, a lot of things that happened in his life. You know, he was thrown in prison. He got his whole life, he wanted to go to a art school and was denied. Even though he was a phenomenal artist, he got denied.
Yes, I flunked out of art school. Therefore,
My point is, he wasn't born evil, but he decided to become evil because he felt like he was wronged. He felt
to
like
be
he
fair,
didn't
if I
deserve
got
it.
mustard gassed by the Allies
I'm not
of World
saying
War
I
I,
got killed.
I would,
I'm okay.
if I got mustard gas too, I'd be pretty upset.
He was an evil dude. He died, yes. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, if those things had not happened, would he have been the same person? If all these
If he
horrible
just gave
things didn't
himself a better
happen to him,
haircut and shaved his upper lip, he would have been fine.
would he not have? If he wasn't locked in a prison for, what was it, like 5 years by himself?
Hmm
5 or so years, would he have gone in? Would he have not gone insane? Would that anger have not been boiled up to where he developed this master plan to create the Third Reich? Okay, I'm just gonna shut up now because everyone's, fuck you guys.
No, we're listening
No,
to you.
I'm
Just
actually-
these comments are really
Yes.
something.
The comments are wild.
How wild are they? Because they pop up and then they disappear when I look away.
Most of them are just saying Hiram's gonna kill people, which no,
Where is
not anytime
the...
soon anyway. When does the purge start?
when we get
I
off the
can't-
call,
I can't see. I can't.
Oh,
Hiram's
okay.
gonna
Oh,
make
there
some
it is.
calls.
Yes, because I know the people that can make
No.
that happen for sure.
So
that brings up some good points.
I guess to start bringing this back around in a way that makes sense. In the
Thank
video,
you, Reese.
that I watched, the Lucifer effect, he started bringing up. I feel like we talked about a lot of bad shit. To kind of bring it around, there is a lot of good in the world, and I've always been a relatively optimistic person. Hey,
Yes, I
stay
will
on
come down your
topic.
chimney and beat the fuck out of you.
You're looking at me right now. Growing up, I was a really optimistic person, and then I kind of got into adulthood a little bit, and it made me a little less optimistic. And as I've had some life experiences, I started getting a bit more optimistic again.
Risu, shut the fuck up. Oh my god.
Come on, man! I'm trying to be all sappy and shit here.
I have a point I'd like to make.
Okay, hold on. So basically, I've gotten to a point now to where I can see a lot of good, and I realistically believe that if we were in a purge situation, I feel like the amount of people who would be willing to help not participate, save people who need the help, is a lot more than I think a lot of people are willing to think of.
We could make a posse,
Yeah,
just a group of cowboys.
like
that go
a saving
kill
posse.
bad people.
Go out and help people.
Yes.
And I feel like there's been a lot of examples of that over the years with a lot of tragedy and shit. I watched this video of one of the really devastating hurricanes that happened in like 2008, I think. I don't know, it was like a while ago. Whatever big famous one.
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. And
Or Tilla.
I listened to this interview with these people who had their whole house destroyed and stuff. And they said that even though they lost their house and the whole city was like gone, there was a huge group of people standing on a bridge singing and having fun and laughing and trying to keep everyone's spirits up, right? And it was really impactful for me to listen to that for some reason. It was just that it came to me at a good point in my life where I needed to hear something like that. And I even wrote it down. I wrote down, even in the darkest of times, there will always be people singing. And I do truly believe that to this day. And I think that the one thing that really separates good and evil is awareness of yourself and your mind and a choice. I believe that there is always a choice, and it's just a matter of what you choose. So, with that being said, what do you guys, any final thoughts on the whole matter?
I have two pop culture references I'd like to bring up.
Please.
The Iron Giant, fantastic movie. The main theme of it is you are who you choose to be. So the giant in and of himself was meant to be this catastrophic weapon of mass destruction, but in the end the giant chose not to be that, regardless of where he came from, why he was created, XYZ. Chose to be a good dude, even though he wasn't being treated very well by the people around him. So he's a very noble character worth emulating. And he made a choice. I believe it was Shakespeare who said, all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players.
Yeah.
And what separates any good actor from a bad actor is the ability to make choices. If you've done theater, you will get that. And so that's kind of what makes a person good or evil, for sure, is definitely their choices, because humans have a unlimited capacity for good or evil.
Yeah. Brian?
So you wanted us to watch that, what was it,
The Lucifer
The
Effect.
Lucifer Effect.
The Lucifer Effect. One of the things that he said in there that kind of made me think was a hero moment doesn't, or being a hero doesn't happen in a moment, and being a villain doesn't happen in a moment. It happens on a daily basis by the actions that you choose to do. And it can be as simple as, picking up garbage when no one else will pick garbage up, or throwing an entire trash bag out. Because everything has a cause and an effect, and what you do is going to affect someone, whether you see it or not. It's going to affect someone at some point. I think that's a great thing to think about, and maybe not constantly, because if you start thinking about something constantly, then you start to go crazy about it. But I think it's a good thing to keep in the back of your head, that knowing what you do right now, whether you see it or not, is going to affect someone, whether it's later that day or later that week or later that year, whatever. And as simple as picking something up for someone who may not be able to grab something, or leaving the door open for someone, or just even smiling towards someone, can be the hero of that person's day, because you never know if that person was having such a bad day that this one little thing that you did might have put a smile on their face, or might have gave them what you said, that little bit of hope that like, oh, I guess not everyone is out to get me, or not everyone is mean or evil or rude. So that after watching that video, I've been really thinking about that, and I think that's a great thing to out is what are your effects on the world around you at what you are doing in that moment.
The butterfly effect.
Sometimes
Butterfly effect, yeah.
the one incident from a murderer being created is 1 second to ask how someone's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all of that being said, I think we've learned some valuable things today. One, don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. Make some good choices. If you're in a predicament where you want to run that bitch off the road, just don't. Just don't do it.
I could be in the car and then we'll both be going to jail.
If you want to hit someone with a bus, just don't.
If you want to get hit by a bus.
And the other thing we
wait till
learned
the
today is Hiram is secretly a supervillain, and he is going to create the purge and kill everybody.
If that's what you got out of that, then I'm just gonna assume nobody listens to me.
That is all anyone got out of that.
Then you didn't listen.
Definitely what Risu got out of it.
Risu, I'm gonna sneak down your chimney and spit in all of your socks, and I'm not gonna tell you which one's which.
Anyways, for everyone
Fucking
new,
evil.
for everyone new who's watching or anybody who's coming back, thank you very much for watching. Really do appreciate you. We do have a YouTube channel by the same name, Schloink Studios. Please go give it a follow. We're also on Instagram by the same name. Please give us some support. We appreciate y'all. With all of that being said, have a wonderful, wonderful week.
The bus.
Peace. Do you think a brothel could be filled with a bunch of evil people? Like workers and non-workers? It's like, what's considered a bad day in a brothel? No service?
Police raid.